Hi everyone, it's Ellie from Illustrator Academy. Today I'm going to show you how to create some candylicious swirl lollipops in Illustrator. In this tutorial, we'll mainly be working with Illustrator's drawing tools and the Pathfinder and brush panels. Now don't worry if you're a beginner, just follow along and with practice, you'll be mastering Illustrator in no time. Now let's get started. Before we begin, make sure Smart Guides are turned on and you have your color scheme lined up in squares along the lower left corner of the artboard. Create a new color group out of the color-filled squares by dragging across with the selection tool and clicking Make New Color Group in the Swatches panel. This will come in handy later and give us the option to save it in the swatch library. For the first swirl lollipop, we'll be using the pen tool to trace the base shape from a photo reference. A good quality photo from a Google search will do. Place your photo in the document and lock your sublayer. Begin tracing the base shape and don't worry if your lines don't come out perfectly smooth while you're tracing. You can smooth out the lines with the direct selection tool afterwards. As you see here, I went back and finessed with the selection handles, path segments, and anchor points till I got smooth curves. Make sure when tracing the swirl lines that you begin and end your path segments outside of the base shape. The divide command in the Pathfinder panel, as you'll see, will get rid of the extra segments. Once done with tracing, select all your paths and in the Pathfinder panel, click Divide. Our base shape is now ready for color. You can either select each individual path and click a color swatch from the color group you just created in the Swatches panel, or you can use the eyedropper tool by hovering over the path and pressing Alt and clicking with the eyedropper tool. Once you've applied the color fills, group your shapes and apply a half-point stroke. Then duplicate the shape by holding down the Option or Alt and Shift keys as you drag with the selection tool till the new shape snaps into place underneath. Then use Command or Control D to duplicate and move 4 more times. To create the lollipop stick, select the Rectangle tool, click once on the artboard, and change the width and height values to 22 pixels by 400 pixels. Click OK. Use the eyedropper tool to change the rectangle's fill. Then zoom in on the bottom of the rectangle and add an anchor point to the line segment with the pen tool. Having Smart Guides turned on will help you add the anchor point precisely at the halfway mark. With the anchor selected, nudge it down 3 to 4 pixels, then press Shift, then C to switch to the Convert Point tool. Grab the left selection handle and begin dragging left while holding down Shift and stop short of reaching the left anchor point. Then select both the stick and base shapes and center align them in the alignment panel, making sure the Align to Selection option is selected. You will need to adjust the stack of swirls slightly by rotating it a few degrees to the right until it appears upright. Using a guide will help you add the alignment as you rotate. To finish off this swirly swirl pop, we want to create the appearance that the swirl is wrapping around the stick from the back side. We'll need to duplicate the last base shape and place it behind the stick. Press Command or Control C, then Command or Control V. You will still need to arrange it behind the stick in the Layers panel because the base shape is within a group. Then use the Reflection tool and select Vertical Axis and hit OK. Then move it up and position it so a little more than half is visible and the mid-pink stripe of the swirls line up. From here you will need to finesse with the line segments, anchor points, and handles to create the appearance that the back and front is one seamless shape. Take your time as this will require attention to detail and some patience. It took me a little while to get just right, so what you're seeing here is the clip speeded up. Now with the first swirl lollipop completed, we can move on to creating an old-fashioned swirl lollipop. We will need to turn on grid view for this one. Make sure each grid line is spaced at 24 pixels and subdivided by 8 pixels under Preferences. Select the Round a Rectangle tool, click once on the artboard, and change the width and height values in the dialog box to 1350 pixels by 24 pixels. Change the fill, then select the Line tool to make a 15-degree angled line, then move it so it intersects with the start of the rectangle at the 45-degree intersection of the grid. With the angled line selected, hold on Alt and then Shift as you drag with the Selection tool to duplicate the angle and move it right 75 to 80 pixels. Then use Command or Control D to duplicate and move the angle several times till it reaches the end of the shape. We will need to repeat this process. Select all the angle lines without selecting the rectangle, then while holding down Alt and then Shift, drag the selection about 5 pixels to the right. And just like in the first lollipop, select all your paths and use the Divide command in the Pathfinder panel to divide into individual shapes. Then change the color fill for each shape so it creates an angled candy stripe pattern. Now comes the task of reordering the paths in the Layers panel. Though it's a bit tedious, it's absolutely necessary. Otherwise, it will really mess things up in the next step. You will need to select each path individually and move it up or down to reflect the stacking order it would normally be in the Layers panel, with the leftmost path on the artboard at the bottom of the sublayer stack and the rightmost path at the top. While the divide command is a nifty pathfinder effect, it doesn't do the job of ordering your sublayers in the correct order. At least not in CS6. Not sure if this is something that's been corrected in later versions of Illustrator. Once your paths are in order, select them all and group. You will now make a brush out of this candy stripe pattern. Open up the brush panel and click on the new brush folder icon. Select Art Brush from the dialog box and make sure that the brush settings are as follows. Width is fixed, brush scale options is set to stretch to fit stroke length, and direction is set to horizontal right. Click OK and our new brush should now appear in the Brushes panel. Deselect the artwork and select the spiral from the Tools panel. Click once on the artboard and change the radius value to 90 pixels, decay to 90%, segments to 14, and the counterclockwise direction is selected. Then apply the new brushstroke you just created. From here, it's a matter of using the direct selection tool to move the paths closer, tweak the line segments, and rotate the shape to create a closed swirl. Once you're happy with your swirl shape, expand its appearance. Size it up and apply a half-point stroke. Copy-paste the lollipop stick you created and place it in a new group with the swirl. Center align the shapes using the alignment panel, then duplicate your new swirl lollipops. Hide and lock the originals, then play around and rotate the lollipops to create a fun, playful composition. I encourage playing around with background color choices to create different moods. I personally like yellow the best as it provides the best contrast against the pink and brown accent colors of the swirls and creates a happy, playful atmosphere. I think that pink is also a nice background color choice for a monochromatic color option. The blue and green can also work depending on the mood you want to convey, but their light and dark values and saturation would need some tweaking to provide better contrast and interactivity.
Well, that's it for this tutorial. Next week we'll pick up right where we left off and I'll show you how to create depth with color and texture. But before you go, I'd like to leave you with a show and tell challenge. Describe how you use the techniques you just learned and post a link to your artwork in the comments below. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and if so, please like and subscribe to my channel. You can also follow me on social media, and remember, consistent practice leads to mastery. Till next time, thanks for watching.